How's it going, guys? Randall, aka Shizucats, here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the long-awaited Hololive Production Volume 2. Hololive, one of the biggest sets in Weiss Schwarz, bringing a lot of new collectors and players into the Weiss Schwarz fan base. And of course, Hololive being a very, very popular... what's the correct word for this? A very popular thing for people to do on the internet over the last few years. It's really blown up and has just brought a lot of new faces into the community. Hololive Production Volume 1 was one of the biggest selling sets in Weiss Schwarz history and has brought a lot of cool new archetypes and decks that both new players and competitive players have been able to enjoy. Some have been really beloved, and some not so beloved. I'm sure a lot of people have been not so happy about playing against some of the deck archetypes like Gura that we'll be taking a look at today, but we'll be sure to take a look at all of the cool new stuff that we have in Hololive Production Volume 2. Speaking of new stuff, we do have a bunch of new characters that weren't in Hololive Production Volume 1, but they were in the Hololive Premium Booster, such as we have AZKi and IRyS being introduced, as well as EN, Myth, and Council, and Indonesia Branches 1 and 2. So we have a lot of cool new cards to take a look at. Oh, and we have, of course, JP Gen 6. Cannot forget about them. Compared to the first volume and premium booster, though, we do, unfortunately, have Coco and Rhodesia no longer in the set. So we will not have any cards for them, unfortunately. Now, as far as what we're going to be taking a look at today, it's going to be our usual two boxes, and normally we would take a look at the case topper playmat for other sets, but for Hololive Volume 2, just like Volume 1, there is no case topper bonus, and so instead we have this lovely Mio playmat, some official Hololive merch that we'll be opening our packs on today. So, without further ado, let's get right into our first booster box. Alright guys, let's start our opening by detailing the rarity breakdown that you can expect within a booster box, as well as the rarities that you can expect out of a booster case. As always, they are not guaranteed, they are just expected ratios, but this is basically what you should be expecting to get. So, within a single box of Hololive Volume 2, you should be expecting to get 5 RR cards out of, I believe, there are 15 possible Hololive, 16 possible double rares, okay? And then as far as the high rarity stuff goes, so every single card in the set can come foil. And so this is something that we've seen before in sets like Quintessential Quintuplets Volume 2 and 3, Sword Art Online 10th Anniversary. However, in this particular set, they have taken it to the next level. So not only can every single card in the set come foil, but every single card in the set can come SR and potentially a second rarity. So normally in like those sets that I mentioned before, like Quints and Sword Art, if a card can come SP, then that means it doesn't have an SR version. However, in Hololive Volume 2, even the cards that can come SP and SSP can have a regular SR foil version or triple R version. And so I do plan to get jump scared by some of the cards in the set where I think I might have an SSP, but it is in fact just an SR. I'm definitely ready for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first box. Oh, and one last thing. Case expected ratios are 4 SPs and 1 SSP per sealed booster case. Again, not guaranteed, but just the ratios that you should be more or less looking out for. So, as for our box topper promos, the promos are not unique cards. Instead, they are frameless versions of each of the climaxes that can come in Hololive Volume 2. So in this case, we have the Chloe Door Trigger Climax. This is a pretty nice combo in the set, so pretty glad to pull that. Be sure to look out for the Tournament Store Assist promos, which should be the foil versions of these frameless climaxes. So if you purchase Hololive boxes at official tournament stores, you can pick up those promo packs and try to pull OFR foil versions of your favorite climaxes. All right, let's get right into our first box. We're going to start with the right side this time. And there are a lot of cool new cards and decks to talk about, expansions to pre-existing archetypes and decks as well. So I'm very excited to get a look at these. So our first one, we already have some support for some old decks. So here we have the 2/1 Noelle. So this is a level assist that can swap the bottom card of your clock when you play her on stage from your hand. And so the idea behind this is there is a level 3 flare that requires a specific Noelle in your clock in order to early play. And so using that on play ability, you can swap that Noelle from your waiting room into your clock and enable your early play condition. Additionally, this also has a ditch bond to both the old level 3 flare as well as the new level 3 flare, the one with the early play condition, so you can grab those easily and incorporate those into your strategy. Speaking of flare, we have another card. This is another Noelle and flare combo card where she can bond to 2 different Noelles. And next we have a Subaru level 2. This is actually a card that has risen in popularity just a little bit as a result of the recent restriction for Hololive in JP. So this has become a consideration for the AZKi standby plus Gura archetype. Okay, you have Mio. Pekora. This is a pretty interesting level 2. So it's pretty much the exact same as a level 0 Pekora from Volume 1, where that Pekora was a Global 500 that gains a marker on play, and if she is sacked during your turn, you can bring her back if she had a marker. And so this one has the same set of effects, except instead of being a Global 500, she is an Assist 1500. Pretty cool card. Here we have Watame level 0 with her hatred of green peppers. So when this card is placed on stage from hand, you can choose a cost 1 or lower green or bell pepper trait character from your opponent's front row and send it straight to the waiting room. Normally, effects like these that we call the submarine effects require your opponent to only have exactly 1 character in their front row. But this one, because it specifies it has to be a green cost 0 character, your opponent can have multiple characters in their front row and you can still kill one. So I remember when this card first got revealed in JP, we were talking about how this card just insta-kills the Bay level 1 combo, so rest in peace, Bay. And then this also has an on-reverse Rize effect, so just a pretty nice functional second effect as well. For our first rare, we have the Eophi 1/1. So this is a pretty neat card that you can combine with a promo that should be out by the time you guys watch this. So anyways, this Eophi is a 1/1 level assist, and at the beginning of your climax phase, you can choose one of your Hololive characters and give it plus 1000 times its own level until the end of the turn. And you can also rest her to choose any character on stage besides herself and give it plus 1 level until the end of the opponent's next turn. So very basic usage is you can rest this Eophi to give one of your characters plus 1 level, which will allow that character to get 500 more from the level assist and 1000 more from the second effect. So a lot of extra power, really cool. However, one really cool interaction that you can do with the upcoming promo card is the 3/2 IRyS. So she is an early play if your opponent has a level 3 or higher character on stage, and additionally, she gains a bunch of extra power on attack. She gives your entire front row 2500 power on attack and the ability where if they reverse their battle opponent, you can send the top card of your opponent's clock to waiting room and then send the reverse character to clock. And so using the Eophi is a really good strategy against level 2 decks such as Alicization, or not Alicization, but Sword Art Anniversary's Alice deck, as well as the 2/1 Mirons from the recently released That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Volume 3. So you can level up one of their characters to level 3, play your IRyS level 3, follow up with some other strong attackers, like maybe some level 2 killers like Muna or Kanata, and then you can wipe the opponent's entire board. And specifically in the Tensura deck, you wouldn't be able to target the Mirons with the Eophi effect because they cannot be targeted if your opponent has the Shuna Muron back row setup, but you can target the Shuna, turn her into a level 3, and then early play off of that. So this is a really cool card. It has some great interaction with that particular IRyS level 3. So be sure to look out for that strategy in some of the decks you might see in the upcoming meta. For our climaxes, we have, of course, these beautiful commissioned arts for all of our climaxes in the set. Here we have the Toa and Risu climaxes. So a lot to talk about just from one pack. There's really so many cool synergies and strategies that we can take a look at in this set. All right. Next, we have the Anya level 2. This is an extremely powerful card if you're running any sort of door deck, such as like a Marain top end, or maybe something like Chloe or Ollie. So this Anya has two effects, both very powerful. The first one being, during your turn, if you have 4 more other Hololive characters, so if you have a full board, then she gets plus 5,000 power, and during this card's battle, your opponent cannot play events or backups from their hands. So it's a very strong 12,000 beater that can just contest your opponent's cards without any fear of getting countered. Additionally, her second effect is one that we've seen in Quince Volume 3 on a 2/1 AZKi. It's a very powerful effect. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1, discard 1 to search your deck for any climax with a door trigger and add it to your hand. So a very nice way to secure your door climaxes in the mid to late game. Next we have the Subaru Climax Swap, another Climax Swapper to add to our arsenal. Her second effect is, on play, you have optional mill 3, so pretty nice card if you want just a little bit of extra deck speed. As far as color, the yellow Climax Swap slot does compete with the Watame from the Gen 4 trial decks, so feel free to try out between the two decks, or between the two Climax Swappers. Okay, next we have another piece of legacy support in the 2/1 Mel. This has the effect where when she's placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1, discard 1 to search your deck for the 2/1 Mel combo from Hololive Volume 1, and you get to put it straight onto the board. Additionally, she is a level assist, and you can rest her to give a character 1k until the end of the opponent's turn, which is a great card to synergize with the Gen 1 characters that really want to utilize act abilities. Speaking of Gen 1 characters that use act abilities, we have level 1 Matsuri. This one has on act gain +1 soul. Pretty neat card. And for our rare, we have the 3/2 Koyori. We have the normal version of the Chloe Climax. So the 3/2 Koyori is an early play if you have 2 copies of her already in your waiting room. And if you have 2 or more other Hololive characters, she gets 1500 and gains Hand Encore, going up to a very solid 10-5. And when she's placed on stage, you can search your deck for a Hololive character and add it to your hand. So the idea behind this early play condition is you can use some of the other cards in the HoloX deck in order to keep the other copies of Koyori out of your refresh so that you can get them easily into your waiting room after you've refreshed your deck, and you can turn on Koyori's early play condition. All right, here we have a level 0 Laplace that can search your deck for a 1/1 HoloX event that can grab you your climaxes. And she's also a level 0 Stock Bomb. Here we have one of my favorite flavor cards in Hololive, and I'm definitely not a Hololive fan by any means. Like Mike and Simu, definitely much more in tune with the Hololive culture than I am, but this is definitely one meme that I'm aware of. So this particular Fubuki has an effect that says when you play her, you mill 1, and if that card is a climax, you get to search your deck for a Hololive character, and then this card gains gold color trait until end of turn. And if it's not a climax, then this gets red color trait until end of turn. And so this is actually a reference to Fubuki's Pokemon streams, where she loves to hunt for those shiny Pokemon. She only wants to play shiny Pokemon, and so she spent a very, very long amount of time searching for a shiny Magikarp. And so regular Magikarp, of course, being red, and shiny Magikarp being gold. If you manage to discard or mill a climax off this effect, it's like you fished up that gold Magikarp. You get to search your deck for a free Hololive character. And if you don't mill a climax, well, you know, Akaina. Here we have the level 0 Kiara. This is actually the same effect as the level 0 AZKi box hopper promo that's seeing a lot of play in Quince right now, where when she's placed on stage from hand, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character or event, you get to mark it underneath her, and it makes her into a 4k beater. So a very solid card, and a very nice budget option at the common rarity if you're looking for a very cheap beat stick to play in your decks. So pretty good card. And here we have our first double R of the box, which is our level 1 Subaru. So she has a Climax combo very similar to the... Well, actually, the Climax combo is the exact same as the level 1 Kato combo from Saikano Volume 2, Saikano Flat, where when you play the Climax, she gains Twin Drive, and during the opponent's next turn, when your opponent front attacks her, you can bounce her back to your hand. However, the Climax that she combos on is a choice compared to Gold Bar, which makes it a little bit harder to loop the combo. And additionally, her secondary effect is on attack, if all of your characters are Hololive trait, you can give one of your characters 1500 power until end of turn, which can give power to herself or one of your other characters. This makes her quite a bit better than the Kato, in my opinion, because this allows her to be very flexible with where you want to assign the power. If she's already directing or she's attacking something that's very small, you can use that buff on one of your other copies of Subaru to make sure that that Subaru can survive into the next turn and be able to bounce back to the hand. So pretty cool card. Next we have the Sora level 1. This is a 6500 beater as long as you have 2 back row. And then when your opponent plays a Climax, you can send this to stock. Pretty nice card and a way to get extra stock. Here we have IMA. So this is a level swapper for Gen 2. So Gen 2 in the first set revolved around the strategy of having specific cards in level, specifically the 3-2 Aqua Climax combo. And in this set, they have gone a little bit in a different direction compared to the first set, where they have a level swap strategy where you want to repeatedly put cards in and out of your level zone in order to gain advantage. And so the IMA is one of the cards that helps with that strategy. Having on play, you can level swap for free. And on attack, you can discard a card in order to trigger check twice, so you get a Twin Drive. So that allows you to gain extra stock at the cost of 1 card in your hand. Up next for our rare, we have the level 0 Okayu. So she has the effect where when you can rest her to give one of your characters 500, and on reverse, you can make your opponent send the top card of their clock to waiting room and then send the reverse character to clock. Really nice removal effect. And then her second effect is when you play an event, you can put this card into your stock. This can be utilized very well with, of course, the Gamer's Event from the Gamer's Trial deck that lets you look at up to 4 cards and add a character. And that allows you to have another way, just like the IMA, to take a card in your hand or on your stage and convert it into extra stock. All right, let's keep going. We have the Iofi level 0. So this is a card that will allow you to change into a specific 3-2 Risu. I'm going to go ahead and set this on the side in case we pull that Risu. We can come back to this. So next we have 2-1 Aki Rose. Gains power for each other copy in your front row. And of course, just like Gen 1 characters, gains extra power on act abilities. We have 1-0 Hachima. She can marker another copy of herself to gain 5,001 soul. We have the Louis anti-change counter. So between the Suisei counter and the Louis, those are now your 2 anti-change options. The Suisei has a cost of discard 2 in order to bottom deck, and the Louis has a cost of pay 2 extra and discard or sacrifice a character in order to send the opponent's overlevel character to waiting room. And so if you're looking for a sack counter option, the Louis is a pretty good consideration for that, since the Suisei does not sack one of your characters off the stage. For our rare, we have the 3-2 Luna. Just like all of the Luna cards, this is level 0 when on stage, and the opponent's character across from this cannot side attack. So normally, one of the big downsides of having a level 0 character is that your opponent can just side attack it and they would not lose their lane, but Luna prevents them from side attacking. Additionally, she is a 6 or more Climax early play, which is not an early play condition we see very often. And she has on play, you can discard 1 to heal to hand a Hololive character in your clock. And as one very last interesting note, she does have 3 soul. So she can just attack your opponent for a ton of damage. All right. Okay, we have level 0 Watame. So this is a card that works with the Gen 4 event from the Gen 4 trial deck. So that is an event that has a pretty heavy stock and hand cost. So I believe it's a 3-4 event that requires discarding 3 Hololive characters. And this Watame is a card that's designed to be used alongside that event because this card can be discarded as 2 Hololive characters instead of just 1. So you can reduce the cost from 3 characters to 1 character plus this Watame. Pretty cool. And then she also has a runaway runner effect, so you can use her in the early game as well. You have a Okayu mill your opponent counter. And we have the Iroha... Oh, I see a foil. Here we have the Iroha level 1 Brainstorm. So this is a level 1 tap self salvage Brainstorm. During your turn, she gives your other character in the front row center slot 1500 power. And she does have a soul trigger. That's a pretty important theme that we're going to be seeing repeatedly throughout this set. There are certain cards that you wouldn't think ordinarily have soul triggers, but they do, such as this 1-0 Iroha. So that allows her to be grabbed off of choice climaxes, and it also allows you to... allows her to contribute to trigger-based strategies such as Gura. So, really good card. We have 2-1 Matsuri. This is a card that has the same effect as the Geld counter that we've recently featured in Tensura, where you can pay 1 extra to salvage her back. All right, now we have our first foil. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. Oh, okay, so looks like this is the 1-0 Aqua. This is one of my personal favorite cards in the set. This is an extremely powerful card. And this is also an example of what I said earlier, where you can have cards that can come SSP that also have SR versions. So this Aqua can come SSP, but we did pull the just normal SR. This is one of my personal favorite cards in the set. I think this card is extremely powerful. So when this is placed on stage from hand, it has a drop assassin effect. Gain 500 times the number of your characters, allowing her to go to a ceiling of 6/5. But her second effect is such a powerful ability. So when she attacks, all of your characters gain the effect until the end of the turn, where when they trigger a climax, you can pay 1 in order to blind stock 1, and then you may draw a card, and if you do, you discard a card afterwards. Where's the opening for this sleeve? Come on. Okay, there we go. So this is a really powerful effect. It allows you to keep your stock clean by paying out those climaxes. Of course, you do have the possibility of blind stocking a climax immediately afterwards, but that's just kind of the risk you take. You have the potential to pay out that climax, replace it with a clean stock, and additionally, it has synergy with climaxes such as Pants, where when you use the Pants climax, you salvage a climax back from your waiting room, and then you can use the ability to draw a card and then discard the Pants that you just salvaged back in order to get a +1 that isn't necessarily keeping another climax in your hand. And one thing that I really like about this particular Aqua is the way you can utilize this card when you're getting pretty low on deck size. So let's say you have like 6 cards left in deck, and you have 1 climax left. So if you attack with the Aqua first, you give all of your characters the ability. If you do not trigger any climax, that means you still have 1 climax left in your 3-card deck in order to cancel with. But if you do trigger the climax, you can use the effect granted by Aqua. You can blind stock 1, which is now like guaranteed to be clean. Additionally, you can draw 1 card and discard 1 card, which will allow you to end your turn with just 1 card in deck instead of having 3 cards in deck with no climaxes like you would have otherwise. So it's just a really, really good card. Also, the art is really, really cute. I love the art on this card. And yeah, just one of my favorite cards in the set for sure. So we'll go ahead and put this over here with the Chloe climax. Next we have the Reine level 1, one of the new characters being introduced from Holo ID. Well, I mean, new compared to Hololive Volume 1, not new compared to the Premium Booster, of course. But this is a pretty powerful card. When she attacks, you can give one of your other characters 1k, but more importantly, on play, you can discard a card to choose a cost 1 or lower Hololive character from your waiting room and play it on stage. So this is a great card for securing your climax combos, since she can summon your cost 0 characters from your waiting room. You can run this alongside climax combos such as Chloe, I know is a really popular card to pair this Reine alongside. And we have 2-1 Roboco Assist. She has, you can rest her to give one of your characters on reverse top deck, which is not a very common ability, and it's a very powerful one because it allows you to remove your opponent's character while also contributing to more guaranteed damage since it sends the opponent's character to the top. As a downside, this Roboco does not get to stand during your next turn if you use that effect. Okay, here we have the Noelle level 0. This is definitely one of the card arts of all time. So this card is the early play condition for the Flare that I mentioned earlier, the one that you can put into clock with the 2-1 Noelle. This card is kind of like Gilthunder, where on play she reveals the top card of your deck and you can marker it if it's a character. And while she has a marker, she gets plus 1500 and plus 1 level compared to Gilthunder's plus 2k. And then she has a chaser ability just like Gilthunder as well. I do think that this card is a little bit worse than Gilthunder because of the plus 1 level instead of the plus 2k power. I would much rather have the character be 3500 power. It's much more survivable, especially in the modern era where 3500 attackers are very prevalent. Cards such as, even in Hololive itself, we have cards like the Miko Drop Search and the infamous Aqua and the Plus cards. So I don't think the plus 1 level is quite as relevant as the extra 500 power, but it's still a pretty strong consideration nonetheless. And of course, if you want to run that Flare and Noelle package, this is a card that you're definitely going to want to be running at 4 copies. Okay, we have a Mel. This one has a stock removal effect, but it does require you to use an act ability. But she does gain an additional 1500 power when you do so. We have Takane. We have the Koyori Memory Kick Backup. This is something that Hololive has definitely wanted. Memory Kick Backup, of course, being a very powerful backup profile, being able to not only remove your opponent's characters, but prevent things like abilities that activate at the end of the card's attack, since the opponent would get sent to memory before they have a chance to use that effect. Here we have Marine 2-1. So this one is a card that you can combine with a specific 2-1 Chloe. They can call each other out, and they gain bonus power and abilities while you have both of them on the board. And it looks like we have our second foil. We have, the AZKi level 3. This is another, dude, okay. These arts that can be on the SSPs in the set, they're just all so pretty. And this AZKi is no exception. So this AZKi is a card that is intended to be used in the standby decks. So she is a 10-5 base, and while she's on stage, all of your other characters gain 1500 power. So it does not include herself, but she's pretty big as 10-5 to begin with. And additionally, at the start of your encore step, if she is in your front row and all of your opponent's characters on the front row are reversed, or they have no characters on the front row, then you can discard 2 to burn 1 and also gain 1000 till the end of the opponent's next turn. So this is just a nice little bit of extra damage potential for your standby decks. It should be very easy to reverse all of your opponent's characters, assuming you're doing what standby normally does, which is present a really large board and just overwhelm your opponent with big numbers. And one other really cool thing about this card is because this card just says that it has to be on your front row at the start of your encore step, you can actually stand by this out after one of your other characters has attacked. And even though this card wasn't one of the ones that you used to attack your opponent, you can still proc her ability as long as you reversed all of your opponent's characters. All right, moving right along to our uncommons, we have the Noelle Climax Swap. Another Climax Swap to add to the arsenal, but this one has a very unique cost. Instead of paying a stock and discarding a Climax, you actually sack one of your characters and discard a Climax. So it doesn't require any stock. This is a really cool card if you want to have some extra stock saving options. Additionally, this card gains 500 power times the number of your opponent's characters when she attacks, so she can attack for 6-5. One really cool thing about this card that I like to use it for is when your opponent sends you to level 1, but they did not contest your Aqua or Laplace profile, which, of course, a very popular profile in Hololive. So in that case, what you can do is, if you want to like make room for your level 1 combos, but your Aqua or Laplace is just like, it's just kind of chilling there, and you don't want to play over it, you can just sacrifice it with the Noelle for the Climax Swap to proc the ability and get that +2, potential +2 off of their effect, while also getting your Climax and saving yourself some stock. So, really nice card. I'm a big fan of running one copy of this if you can accommodate for the blue, since it is a level 1 card. You do have to have the color for it. Okay, next we have the Suisei level 2. This is a card that I'm going to set to the side because this is a card that will have some other cards in the package with her later. All right, we have Watame level 1. Of course, Simu's Oshi, Watame. This is a very interesting card. When she's placed on stage from hand, you mill 2, and if there is a Climax among those cards, you get to give up to 3 of your characters +1 soul. So a very fun card. It hasn't really seen very much competitive play, if really any at all, honestly. but a very fun card nonetheless if you want to just hit your opponent for a lot of damage. Additionally, she gains 1,000 for each of your other Hololive characters during your turn, so up to 6,500 attacking strength. We have a 1/1 Lammy, a pretty nice consideration for the Gen 5 memory decks. Just like the 1/1 Nino that's been seen playing Quince, she cannot be reversed by cost 0 characters. When she attacks, if you have 2 or more memory with different names, you get to give up to 2 characters 2,000 power until end of turn. Pretty nice boost. We have a Luna, of course, level 0 as always. We have a level 0 Aqua, so this is a Ditch Climax Salvage, and also has on play experience 2. You can look it up to 2, choose up to 1 card from among them, add it to hand, send the rest to a waiting room, and then discard a card. So a really nice way to costlessly get through the deck, maybe dig for some important cards like events or climaxes, since that effect can add any card to your hand, and you also don't have to show your opponent what you added. Okay, we have our next double R, the 3/2 Laplace. So this one is not a very strong card on its own, but it is central to the HoloX strategy, as this is a resonance target. So you have to be constantly revealing this card in your hand in order to fully unlock the potential of the HoloX deck. As far as what Laplace does herself, she is on play heal and climax combo with a choice climax. When she attacks, she gains cancel burn based on the number of Laplace on your stage. If you have 1 Laplace on your stage only, then it's cancel burn 1. If you have 2 or more Laplace, then you cancel burn 1 twice. When you are playing the Laplace strategy for your endgame, you will want to have at least 2 Laplace so that they can have that cancel burn 1 twice. Okay, up next for our uncommons, we have Luna, another very powerful level 0 utility option. This is actually a card that is seeing... it's like contesting the spot that the Bay level 0 from Premium Booster was previously holding. So Bay is on play and on death. You can pay 1, discard a character to look at up to 3. Whereas the Luna, she has on play, top check, top or bottom, and on play, pay 1, discard anything to look at up to X cards, where X is the number of your other Hololive characters. So Bay technically has the potential to look at up to 6 cards if you use her ability twice, but Luna can look at up to 5 because you can look at the top card. If it's not what you want, you put it on the bottom, and then you use her ability to look at up to 4 cards if you have a full board. So this is a very powerful card contesting that utility slot. We have level 0 Choco. This is a level swap card with the Gen 2 level swap package, where once per turn, when a card enters your level zone, you can pay 1 to look at up to 3, grab a Gen 2 character from among them, add it to your hand. This is a kind of package that we've seen in decks such as Milky Holmes, if you're on the JP side of Weiss Schwarz. We've seen cards similar to this in Kaguya-sama. I think in this particular set, though, I think it is probably the worst iteration of that package, mostly because of the level 1 counter that you're using in this particular package being a costed counter compared to in the other decks where it is a 1/0 counter. Okay, next we have, for our rare, we have the 1/0 Aki Rose. So this one is a 5/5 oversize. She doesn't stand if you do not have another Hololive character, which is basically not a downside at all. And once per turn, when you use an act ability, she gains on reverse, you can pay 1, salvage 1. So I believe this is a profile that we've seen recently a couple times. And I believe we've seen it in Avatar: The Last Airbender on a Toph level 1 promo. And I think we've also seen this in Sword Art Online 10th anniversary on a Mito card. So pretty cool card if you want to utilize her with the Gen 1 strategy of act abilities and counters and things like that. It could be really cool. One interaction that I think is really neat is like if you have her on stage and you use a counter to protect her, the counter will obviously buff her power, but if she reverses her battle opponent, you can pay 1 stock and you can get that counter back and use it again to defend another lane. So a really cool interaction. We have 2/1 IRyS. This is a very similar card to a 2/1 Matsuri from the Gen 1 trial deck. And here we have the infamous level 1 boss IMA, Yodayo. So for those of you who have been out of the loop, this card is already set to be banned immediately when the set comes out, so which would be today. So this card's already banned, and so shoutouts to Raymond, aka Oofme of Honest Weiss Schwarz, for getting this card banned with his Oofme special. So this card has the effect where when this card is placed on stage from your hand or deck, you can discard a card to search your deck for another copy of the same IMA and place it on stage. And so the idea behind this is so you can, if you have a handful of cards that are not really playable in the current game state, you can play the IMA, you can discard a card, grab another IMA. If you still have unplayables in your hand that you want to get rid of, you can proc the ability again since it activates when placed from deck. You can discard a card to summon like a third IMA. And now you have attackers. All right, cool. But the way that Raymond had come up with utilizing this card is a pretty hidden strategy that you have to look really hard to find. And so it involves using a level 0 Marine from set 1 to sacrifice a level 0 Sora, also from set 1. And so you would activate Sora's Summon Ricky effect during the attack phase, which would allow you to summon an Ayame rested, and then you would use the Ayame's effect to summon an Ayame, which summons an Ayame, which summons an Ayame, all of which are standing, which allows you to get up to 6 attacks within a single attack phase. And so you could do that starting from level 1, which was really, really powerful, and it was a strategy that over the entire month of May and the start of June, basically we were trying to optimize that deck, and then Japan found out about it through some of the tweets when I tweeted out some of our locals results, and it basically just blew up. For the first couple weeks of June, Japan was really cooking to try to come up with the best iteration of the IMA deck list, and it got banned pretty quickly. And so there are definitely some Japanese players that were a little bit angry with us for revealing this strategy with a ban list coming up and causing the strategy to get banned pretty much within a month of it being publicized. But it was fun while it lasted. We'll be sure to maybe revisit this in not like a gameplay video as the card is banned, but we might come back to this in a bit with like a video talking about the specifics behind this deck, as it's very interesting. And there are just a lot of iterations that we can take a look at. All right, moving right along. We have a level 0 Botan. This is a pretty nice card for Gen 5 memory decks, as it allows you to choose a card from your memory and swap it with a 5th gen character from your waiting room. And so a lot of Gen 5 characters require you to have multiple different names in your memory, and so this allows you to fix that up a little bit. And additionally, it has a drop salvage effect, so just a little bit of utility as well for just your everyday plays. You have a Miko with on play and on death pay to salvage, which is something that we've seen previously in what deck was it that we were using on play and on death pay to salvage? I'll remember eventually, but I just don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, we have the 1/1 Polka. So this is a new level 1 climax combo for Gen 5. So she gets plus 2k power if you have 2 or more other Hololive, bringing her up to a solid 7/5 power. And her climax combo with standby is on attack, you can salvage a level X or lower character, where X is the number of your cards with different names in memory, and she gets plus 1k until end of turn. So the more memory you have, the higher level cards that she can grab. We have a Crony Free Fresh. She can on play pay 1, discard 1 to free fresh your deck, and she has shift level 0. So just kind of a handy card to grab if you want to reset your deck state. And for our rare, we have level 0 Iroha. So this one is a card that's seeing a lot of play in the Gura decks. So on play, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a Hololive character or the HoloX event, you can give any of your characters 2k. And at the beginning of your opponent's draw phase, you mill 2 in order to look for a level 2 or higher card from among them. And if you did mill a level 2 or higher, you can bounce her back to your hand. This allows you to go +1 while also getting additional mill through your first deck. So pretty nice early game card. Okay. Here we have the AZKi level 0 combo, a really notable uncommon from the set. So when she's placed on stage from hand, you can choose one of your other Hololive characters, give it 1k. And the climax combo with standby says that you bounce the AZKi back to your hand, and then you send the climax to the waiting room to search your deck for any Hololive character and add it to your hand. So this not only opens up the slot by bouncing back the AZKi, then you can now standby a character to that slot, but it also kills the climax, making it really good to use before you go into a refresh. So let's say you have like 3 or fewer cards in deck, you can still use the combo and allow that climax to go back into the refresh, which is really, really cool. We have 2/2 Nene. This is a card that can change into the 3/2 Nene from the first set of Hololive. So what you want to be doing when you play this card is you want to bring this card out at level 1 via a standby, and then on your next turn you can change into the Nene, potentially having a level 3 out on your board at level 1. And that's a really good card to have as early as possible, since that Nene does have that damage scry ability that can allow you to try to lessen incoming damage. For our rare, we have the 1/1 Mume. So this Mume is a climax combo that says, on attack, you top check. If it is a character or event, you add it to your hand. And then if it's not a character, then you send it to waiting room. Or if it's not a character or event, you send it to waiting room. And then also you get to salvage a character and discard a card afterwards. So it's kind of like a salvage 1 that sometimes forces you to discard a card. It's kind of like that. For our next pack, we have level 1 Ina. So this card has an accelerate ability that lets you salvage, and this is a card that is seeing some play in Kanata Gura variants, which is somewhat similar to the Kanata Marine variants that I'm sure you guys are pretty used to, but it runs Gura instead of Marine. And because of that, we don't really want to be running red cards in our level 1 game, we want to be running blue ones. And so this Ina kind of takes the place of the 1/0 Miko Clock Encore that you guys are probably used to seeing in Kanata Marine. Basically serves the same purpose. It allows you to clock yourself in order to gain extra advantage. Okay, we have an Iroha level 2. One of the, I think this is the first Resonate card that we've seen, where you want to be revealing the Laplace level 3 in your hand in order to gain an additional effect or power. In this case, gain 6k power. Next, we have the 2/1 Botan. This is actually the exact same card, basically, as the Cart Titan from Attack on Titan Final Season. It does have the additional effect of when she becomes reversed, you send her to memory, so that helps you contribute to the Gen 5 memory strat. And then for our rare, we have the 3/2 Suisei and her climax within the same pack. So the 3/2 Suisei is a very interesting card. A lot of players would probably see this as kind of a meta call sort of card. So she can be brought out at level 2 by a level 0 Suisei, which I don't think we've actually pulled yet. And then she has heal on play and climax combo. At the start of your attack phase, you either choose to shuffle your opponent's board by sending them all to memory and then putting them back in any position you want. Or you can give her on attack, pay 1, discard 1, burn 2, which is just a very simple burn 2 ability. The anti-meta aspect is definitely in that ability to shuffle your opponent's board, though. It's very good against certain decks in the current and upcoming meta, such as that time I got reincarnated as a slime, or Overlord. Like, for example, in Slime, you could use it to shuffle your opponent's Miron Shuna board so that you can put their Shuna and Miron in the front row, and then just run them over so that your opponent doesn't have access to that anymore. In the Overlord matchups, you can use it against things like the 3/2 Ainz that wants to gain a bunch of markers, and you can force those markers to fall into the waiting room, while simultaneously shuffling your opponent's board, potentially killing your opponent's most important back row characters. So a really cool card, and one that I've personally tried out playing myself, so pretty fun to play. I've just noticed that we have not pulled a single red rare or double R yet, so hopefully we can pull one of those. The only red high rarity card we've pulled so far is the AZKi. Okay, next we have a Kanata Field Swap. This is a card that's seeing play in standby builds recently, since she can you can standby out a really big like level 3 character to your back row, and then at the start of your opponent's attack phase, you can swap the Kanata with that big level 3 character. Okay, we have a level 0 Toa. This card has the effect where on attack you can give one of your other characters plus 1500 and hand encore until the end of the opponent's next turn, which is a really cool ability, especially if you have like standby targets that don't naturally have hand encore. Ooh, for our next double R, speaking of red cards, we have the 3/2 IMA. So this is a really nice early play. You can early play her if you have 2 or less climaxes in waiting room. On play, you can either choose to heal 1, or you can top check 3, add 1. And additionally, when she's placed on stage from hand, if you have another Hololive character, she gets plus 2k until the end of the opponent's next turn, going to a very solid 10,500 power. So really nice card. We have 2/1 Ame, so this card has an Accelerate in order to gain on reverse blind stock 2. This is a card that's seen a lot of use in the Gura decks in order to build a ton of stock for your Gura endgame. We have level 0 Chloe, which can grab us either the Laplace, most importantly, it grabs the Laplace level 3 from our deck, but it can also grab a Louis level 0, which is an important advantage generator in the HoloX deck. And for our rare, we have the AZKi level 3. All right, let's keep going. You know, I've just noticed we haven't pulled the 2/1 Toa yet, and I'm pretty sure that's also an uncommon. You know, this set does have a lot of cards in it. How many cards does this set have exactly? This set has 145 cards. Yeah, so okay. Frankly, I'm not surprised that we haven't pulled some of the uncommons yet. There's definitely a lot to still look forward to, though. All right, here we have the 2/1 Chloe that goes with the Marine that we pulled earlier. So both of these have the effect where when they're placed on stage from hand, you can... Oh, wait. Okay, my bad. It's only the Chloe that summons the Marine. I could have sworn they summoned each other. Usually when you have 2 level 2s like this, they have the ability that they can summon each other from the waiting room. But in this case, it's only the Chloe that summons the Marine. So that's my bad. Both of them do have bonus effects when you have both of them on the board. So the Marine gains 5,000 power during your turn and becomes a level 2 bomb during the opponent's turn. The Chloe gains 4,000 power continuously. And then also the Marine has the effect where at the start of the opponent's attack phase, you can swap these two to make it harder for your opponent to try to assemble their board against both a 10k continuous and a 7k reverser. Here we have the Suisei that can bring out the level 3. And so this card has an effect where when you play a climax, you can give 2k to one of your characters. And she has a climax combo with the same climax as the level 3, where when you play the climax, you can pay 1 and send her to waiting room to play the level 3 Suisei from your hand. So, pretty nice. And additionally, what you can do is, if you want your Suisei to be big, you can actually order the abilities in a way that you change into the Suisei level 3 first, and then you can give 2k to the Suisei afterwards, since that ability is already primed as soon as you play a climax, and you can still resolve it even though this level 0 is no longer on your field. For our next uncommon, we have level 1 Marine. So earlier I mentioned how Kanata Gura is another variant that has popped up, but Kanata Marine is still definitely a pretty strong consideration, and this Marine is actually a card that has been seeing play in that new variant. So it has the same effects as the level 0 or level 1 Rhodesia from the first set, except instead of being a Shimakai where she gives 500 power for every other, this Marine just says on attack, if all of your characters are Hololive, just give one of your characters 2k, which allows her to give maximum power even if you don't have a full board, but also allows you to give herself power, which can be pretty important sometimes. And then the one last difference between this and the Rhodesia is that this one does require color to come into play, whereas Rhodesia can ignore color. However, this Marine, being a red card, makes it pretty suitable for the Kanata Marine deck to serve as a little bit more of your red color fix. And just like the Noelle Climax Swapper that I mentioned earlier, this is a card that you can utilize to kill your Aqua or Laplace if it lives through the level 0 game, and you can proc the ability to get advantage that way. Okay, next we have a level 0 Kanata Brainstorm. So just like the Watame runner that I mentioned earlier, this Kanata is another piece of legacy support for the Gen 4 burn event. So that's the one that costs 4 stock and 3 hand. And so this card says it has a tap self salvage Brainstorm, and if you revealed a Gen 4 event among the cards in the Brainstorm, you can marker a Gen 4 character from your waiting room. And when you play a Gen 4 event, when you eventually hit level 3, you can use those markers instead of stock. So this is a very interesting way to play that endgame, using the Watame and the Kanata to significantly reduce the amount of resources that you need to actually play that event, and potentially make it easier to use that event alongside finishers in your late game. That being said, it does require you to marker Gen 4 characters, so if you aren't running a whole lot of Gen 4 characters, this can be a bit hard to use. Another legacy support card is the level 0 Korone. So this card, on play, you can give one of your other characters 1k. You can pay 1 and put this standing card into your memory to salvage the level 1 Korone combo from the trial deck. And additionally, while this is in memory and you have 2 or more... I just noticed this says other. This isn't actually supposed to say other, it's just supposed to say 2 or more Hololive characters. Then the Gamers event gains a counter icon. So you can use it as a counter, kind of similar to a torch or like a Hestia knife event. So that's a pretty cool card. It's a nice way to recycle your Korone combos to reuse them for back-to-back turns. And that 1k buff is always appreciated as well. And then one last favorite thing about this particular card is that I know a lot of my friends that are a fan of like Kamen Rider franchise, they love that Korone is doing the Henshin pose in this card. For our next rare, oh, now we're getting all the red rares. We have the level 1 Nene. This is a card that you could potentially run in your Gen 5 strategies, since she sends herself to memory in order to be a 2500 field counter, and additionally gains 2k on attack. Okay. Here we have a 1/1 Shion that is meant to be utilized in the Gen 2 level swap strategy. Another thing that I'm not particularly a fan of is that this card can get climaxes out of your level zone, but it costs 1 stock in order to play this card. And so just like the cards that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the level 0 Choco, the counter, which we also haven't pulled yet, I think, the counter costs 1 to use, which level swaps in order to activate your level swap abilities. And this back row also is a 1 stock back row. So it's just a lot of stock expenditure that I'm not really a fan of. Okay, we have level 0 Flare. This one has on play reveal top. If it's a Hololive character, this gets 4,000 power until end of turn. And she also has on attack, you can discard 1, bounce 1 of your other characters back to hand. Here we have a 1/0 Akatsuki effect, or kind of an Akatsuki effect for HoloX. So on play, you can discard 1 and you can resonate, reveal the level 3 Le Plus in your hand to look at up to 3 from the top of the deck. Add 1 HoloX character or the HoloX event to your hand, send the rest to waiting room, and this gets 500 power until end of turn. And for our rare, we have Roboco level 0. This is a back row runner if you pay 1, and also when she attacks, you must mill 2. If there's a climax among them, you can discard 1 to salvage 1. Not the most popular choice, but definitely has some nice art. Just as all of these cards that can come SSP, basically all of the ones that have like a commissioned, really nice commissioned arts, like the Roboco, the AZKi, the Suisei, Iroha, AkiRose, these ones are all of the ones that can potentially come SSP. Speaking of SSP, we don't have our third foil yet, and I think we're also missing two double Rs as well. So all of these, this pack that I'm holding right now and these last 2 should all be hits, I believe. Okay, we have a very strong level 0 Polka for specifically the Gen 5 deck. When she's placed on stage from hand, you can send another copy of this from waiting room to memory if you have 2 or less memory. And when she's reversed, you have on reverse Rize effect for Gen 5 characters. Really, really nice card. Here we have the 1/1 Choco counter that I was talking about earlier with like the Shion. So this is a 1/1 4K counter, and when you use it, you choose a climax in your waiting room, and you must swap it into your level, unless you don't have a climax in your waiting room already. And so in other decks, such as, for example, Milky Holmes, obviously I don't expect you English players to know a whole bunch about that since it's basically a JP deck, but Milky Holmes has a 1/0 counter that does the same thing, where you put a climax into your level. Additionally, the level 1, or the card that you can use to level swap to get that climax out of your level zone is a level 0 card, or at least there are many level 0 options that you can utilize with that effect. And so the fact that this counter and both the assists are both 1 cost characters makes it a lot less appealing, in my opinion. Okay, that's common. And for our last foil, we have the level 0 Kiara 4K beater. So this is a card that we've already pulled, so we don't need to talk about this very much. We'll go ahead and put that right there. For our uncommon, we have the level 3 Aqua, which we'll put over here with the Suisei. 1/1 Mio. So this card has the effect where during this card's battle, if she gets reversed or if she reverses her battle opponent, whichever cards got reversed cannot use Encore that turn. Additionally, she can refund 1 stock if you play her last, and she attacks for 8,500 power. So I think this is a pretty good splash card if you're running a green level 1. Use it to get over some of your opponent's bigger characters and preventing them from encoring. And for our rare, we have level 0 Fauna. Unfortunately, one of the not great level 0, or no, one of the not great just climax combos overall in the set. The fact that you can only use 1 copy because she sacrifices the climax makes it not a very great card to utilize. It would have been much better if she could get multiple cards off a single activation of her climax combo, or we were able to activate multiple copies off of a single climax. But her climax combo is just at the start of Encore step, you sack the climax, top check up to 4, add a Hololive character or an event, put the rest in waiting room. So not the most high impact combo, unfortunately. All right, for our double R, we have the IRyS level 0. So this is a tap self salvage brainstorm, and when you trigger check a card with a soul trigger, you can give one of your characters 1k power. So this could be a consideration for decks that have a lot of soul triggers, such as the Gura deck. Of course, another consideration for the Gura deck is, of course, the brainstorm that, you know, has a soul trigger already, such as the Iroha, so feel free to experiment between the two. The Iroha is typically the more popular choice, though, just because she has a soul trigger herself. Here we have the HoloX event, which we haven't pulled yet, so this is one of those English cards that suffers from English text box syndrome, where they have to change the shape in order to accommodate for the characters in the art, in this case Chloe. So in order to play this, you need to have 3 or more HoloX characters on stage, so it's a little bit hard to use this in a deck that isn't dominantly HoloX. You search your deck for a climax, add it to your hand, and then give a character 2k power. So this can be useful for looping your Chloe combo over and over again during the early to mid game. Oh, and here we have the 2/1 Toa. So now we have all 3 pieces of the start end package. We'll take a look at the rare first. So we have the 3/2 Flare. This is the card that you can utilize the level 2 with. So this Flare requires that you have the level 0 Noelle in your clock in order to early play. When she's placed on stage from hand, if you have another Hololive character, you choose one of 2 actions. So you can either heal 1, or you can pay 1 in order to draw 1, and then you can put a 3/2 Noelle from the first set onto the stage from your hand. This is the one that gains 4,500 power and anti-backup until the end of the opponent's next turn. And so if you have a board of the level 3 Flare, the 2/1 Noelle, and the level 3 Noelle, you have a very, very strong level 2 board. And you can kill one of your opponent's characters uncontested, since your opponent can't use backups against the Noelle. And additionally, because of their naturally high power, you're pretty likely to keep them into your next turn. So pretty fun package you can try out. And of course, this Flare just has one of the prettiest arts in the set. I'm a really big fan of this particular art. All right, start end package. So this is a combination of 3 cards for those of you who are Apex Legends players. Start end is the team of Suisei, Aqua, and Toa that were playing Apex Legends together. So they have a package in this set that utilizes the Toa as a back row and the Suisei and Aqua as front row attackers. So the way this works is starting with the Suisei. So when you play her on stage from hand, you can discard 1 card to grab either the Toa or the Aqua from your waiting room and salvage it back. So it means that you only have to have 2 of the 3 already in your hand. Additionally, during your turn, she gets plus 1,500 for each of your other Hololive, bringing her up to a maximum of 11,500. And at the beginning of the opponent's attack phase, you can pay 1, discard 1, and bounce her back to your hand alongside one of your other Hololive characters. A little bit of a weird effect to have on a costed character, but you know, sometimes you want to dodge your opponent's on reverse abilities. Okay, next let's move on to the Toa. So the Toa is a back row support. On play, you can choose a Hololive character from your waiting room and marker it underneath her. Additionally, she gives global 1k to all of your other Hololive characters. At the beginning of your attack phase, you can discard a Hololive character and put a marker underneath her to the waiting room in order to choose one of your 3/2 Aquas, and she gains the ability to attack back row characters this turn. And so, ordinarily, being able to attack back row is like, it's pretty cool. It's nice to be able to like snipe out one of your opponent's important utility characters, but this Aqua is an early play if you have both the Suisei and the Toa, and she's also a restander. So she has on play, draw 2, discard 1, and then when your other when your character in the front row center slot attacks, you can pay 1, discard 2, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a Hololive character, you can stand the Aqua. And so what this allows you to do, in combination with the Toa, is you can actually back attack both of your opponent's back row characters. So if they have 2 really important characters, you can just kill them both, easy peasy, and you can you know, just get on with your life. But your opponent is down 2 back row. So one really funny thing that we have experimented with is utilizing this Aqua with the Luna combo from the Gen 4 trial deck. The Luna combo says you can Climax combo, give herself and one of your other characters on reverse salvage. And so what you can do is you can use Aqua to reverse one of your opponent's back row and then salvage 1, and then you restand, and then you attack, you reverse your other opponent's back row character, and then you salvage again. And so that allows you to get all of your hand back, as this particular package is very hand intensive. You have to discard 1 for the Toa in order to make Aqua attack back row, and you have to discard 2 for Aqua's back attack ability, or for her restand ability, sorry. So utilizing this with Luna is something that we think is definitely pretty funny, and something that you guys could try out in your deck. All right, on to our last pack. We do have 1 double R left to go, I believe. So let's see what we can pull. All right, can we get a Gura, perhaps? Gura being one of the most exciting double Rs. Doesn't look like it's Gura. All right, what do we have here? Is that Muna? Muna level 0, perhaps? It is Muna indeed. So the Muna Brainstorm. She has the effect where when you play a Climax, you can discard a card to reveal the top card of your deck and salvage a character equal or lower level than the revealed card. So this is a really nice card to utilize with things like Standby, so that you can play the Climax and you can discard the Standby target that you intend to bring out. And then she has a tap self Search Brainstorm effect. Bit unfortunate that it's Search. You guys know that I don't like Search Brainstorms that much, but still a very good card, especially in those standby strategies or other strategies where you want to have specific cards in your waiting room, such as, for example, the Ollie level 3, which is another double R that we'll take a look at in a bit. But yeah, pretty good double R nonetheless, and one of the more popular options as of set 2. And for our last rare, oh, actually, hold on. For our uncommon, we have level 1 Okayu. So this card has the effect where once per turn, when you play an event, she gains on reverse. You can look it up to 3, add 1 to your hand from among them, and send the rest to waiting room, and then discard a card. And so this card, when I first saw this, it made me think that there was going to be a new event for gamers that had a counter icon. And so because we've seen this type of effect previously in sets such as Quince on Miku cards, where Miku does have an event counter in the level 1 headphones event, and that would allow you to proc this ability on the opponent's turn as well as your own turn. But instead what they did was they used the level 0 Korone to turn the gamer's event into an event, which allows you to proc this on the opponent's turn. So I thought that was pretty cool. For our last rare, we have the level 0 Hachima. So this is a 0/0 time machine. When she reverses her battle opponent, you can send her to memory and then bring her back at the start of your next turn. And additionally, on attack, you can choose any of your Hololive characters, give 1500 power until end of turn. So that can buff her up to 3k power if you need the extra power to beat over your opponent's character. Or you can just use her in the mid to late game to buff one of your other characters as well. So she has pretty good scaling. Okay, there we have for our first box. We've talked about a lot, and we still have quite a lot to look at. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into our second box. See you guys there. All right, here we go, guys. Box number 2. So in our first box, we were unable to pull an SP or SSP, but we still have a chance in this second box to pull something cool. Just check. All right, cool. All right, for our second box, for our box topper, we have the Risu Pants Climax. It goes with the Risu level 3. That can be early played at level 2 using the level 0 EO feed. It's a card that we set aside earlier. We didn't get to pull the Risu in our first box, but maybe we'll pull it in our second box. Take a look at it. All right, let's get started. All right. For our first rare, we have another card art of all time, the level 3 Marine. I remember when they revealed the SSPs for Marine and Noel at the same time, I believe, and yeah, the internet kind of went awooga for that particular set of card reveals. Now this Marine, I think pretty much the consensus at this point is that this is an eye candy card and that it's not very playable. So it's an early play if you have 4 or more Hololive characters on stage, and then the second ability is what makes this card kind of sus. So when this is placed on stage from hand, you can sack one of your other Hololive characters in order to look at the top card of your deck, add up to 1 level 1 or higher card from among them to your hand, and then you can heal 1. And so what's weird about this card is that you have to pay the cost in order to heal, and then you potentially don't get the card back. So because it looks for a level 1 or higher card from the top 1 card of your deck, it's either you hit it or you don't. And so sometimes you will just early play this and you will sack a character, and then you will heal 1, and then you will just mill the top card of your deck if it's like a level 0 or a climax. And so just the potential for this card to just randomly neg 1 makes it a pretty inferior choice compared to a lot of other very powerful healing options in Hololive, such as the Suisei early play that has seen a lot of play since the first set of Hololive. But it's definitely, yep, one of the card arts of all time. Oh, I see a foil coming up. All right, what do we have here? What do we have here? We have a Lammy level 0. I think this is a card that we did pull earlier, but I didn't really talk much about it. So when this is placed on stage from hand, you can choose one of your opponent's characters that is higher level than your opponent's level, and you can make it unable to stand during your opponent's next stand phase. So it's meant to be an anti standby card. So like they standby out a high level character to the back row, and you say no. Additionally, when this is placed on stage from hand, or when this card attacks, you can discard a Hololive character in order to draw a card. So that can be used to enable your own standby targets in your own Gen 5 deck, which they're pushing for 8 standby Gen 5 in this set. So you can discard your standby targets. For our rare, we have the Kiara. So the EN characters, they're more or less meant to revolve around a Soul Trigger strategy. But this Kiara specifically goes with the level 1 Ina and level 2 Ame, which are accelerate characters. So, like for example, the Ame that we have here. So this Kiara is a level assist. At the beginning of your climax phase, you can look at the top card of your deck to see, well, I mean, I normally you would see what you accelerate, but because the Ame and the Ina both accelerate by clocking a character from your waiting room, you don't really need to look at the top card of your deck that much, I guess. So that would more be used for the Gura level 3, because the Gura wants to mill Soul Triggers for her effect, and so you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Soul Trigger, then you know that you can swing with the Gura first. Her last effect is when you use an Accelerate, if this card is standing, you can rest this in order to stock a Hololive character from your waiting room, so that allows you to get extra clean stock. And after one Accelerate, it essentially refunds the cost that you used to play the Kiara. All right. For our next rare, we have the Matsuri Drop Search. She gets plus 1k and plus 1 level if you have 2 or less cards in stock, and she is a Drop Searcher. I think most people are still playing the Miko 3500 Drop Searcher from the Gen 0 trial deck, though, as that card is just naturally 3500 power with no no real condition. And similarly to what I said earlier about the Noel level 0 Chaser, I do think that 3500 power is better than being 3k power with +1 level. And so I think that is the same case here between the Miko drop search and the Matsuri drop search. Okay, speaking of the Risu earlier, we do have the Risu level 3. So this is the card that, where's Eophi? This is the card that you can bring out at level 2 with the Eophi. So Eophi has 3 effects. So first of all, during your turn, if you have another Hololive, or if all of your characters are Hololive, she becomes 4k level 1 attacker. So it allows her to pretty easily kill most things at level 0. And then if she reverses her battle opponent, you salvage a Hololive character and then discard a card. So it allows you to hand fix during the early game, and it also allows you to mulligan more aggressively, since whatever you mulligan, you can very easily get back with Eophi's effect. Now her last effect is, if you're level 2 or higher, this gains the effect where you can pay 1, sack this, and discard a card to play Risu from your hand. Risu heals on play, and then has a climax combo with Pants, where, this Pants right here, where at the beginning of your attack phase, if you have the climax in the climax area, you choose one of 2 abilities. You can either on attack, salvage 1 and stock a character from waiting room, or you can gain on reverse clock shoot. And so this card is not a very great option. A lot of people compare this card to the Kanata that I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with in like the Kanata Marine decks. The main reason that this card is not as good as the Kanata is because the cost to bring it out is higher. In the case of the Eophi, you have to basically -2 because you have to sacrifice the Eophi and you have to discard a second card on top of that. Whereas with the Kanata, you just have to sack the 2/1 counter. And so you're only going -1 card. Another reason is that the Risu doesn't... it gets back the same amount of resources as the Kanata, where you get back 1 hand and 1 stock, which is basically 2 resources. But the Kanata gives you more freedom in what you want to do. So the Kanata can get you back 2 hand, it can get you 2 stock, can get you 1 of 1. And the upside to the Risu is that you do have that flexibility in her being a finisher as well with the clock kick ability. But honestly, it just doesn't really work out. Being able to not being able to get as much of your resources back at level 2, I think, is a very big limiting factor in utilizing this card optimally. More recently, we have seen cards such as the Toph level 3 in Avatar, as well as for those of you who are JP players, we have a card called Alexander in Puzzle and Dragons, which is honestly, it's basically just what Risu wanted to be, and it's a little bit unfortunate that Risu, the card economy in utilizing the Risu combo doesn't quite work out well enough in order to justify running this particular card over other options such as Kanata. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we have our next foil, and it is a triple R climax, being the Gura Pants climax. So one cool thing about the SSPs in this particular set, I haven't mentioned yet, is that some of the SSPs in this set are not actually character cards. Some of them are actually climaxes, particularly or specifically for the characters that are from the EN, ID, and HoloX branches. Those ones, whenever they have a climax for their climax combo, those ones are the ones that can come SSP and not the character cards. And so Gura is no exception. However, in this case, we did pull the triple R. And for our rare, we have... Oh, I didn't even finish this pack. I just realized. For this pack, we have the Aqua level 1 for our rare that we pulled in our first box. And for our rare from the previous pack, we have level 0 Sora. So this card has the Submarine effect, where when she's placed on stage from hand, if your opponent has exactly one character in their front row, and it is a cost 0 or lower character, you can kill it for free. And she also has another on-play effect that says you can grab any card from your clock and then replace it with a card from your hand. And so this can be useful for grabbing events from your clock, color fixing by putting a specific card from your hand into your clock for color. Just a pretty useful utility effect overall. It looks like we have a double R coming up. And it's another one that we haven't pulled yet, which is the level 0 Polka. So this is a really nice option for standby decks, but it could be played in any deck overall. So, so this card has an Amagi effect. So when you play any climax, you can pay 1 to look it up to top 4 for a character, add it to hand, and send the rest to waiting room. And additionally, when you play a climax, you can bounce the Polka back to your hand, look at the top card of your deck. You can either leave it on top or send it to waiting room, and then you can choose one of your characters and give it 1500 power until end of turn. So just a really nice set of effects. Being able to bounce back to your hand allows you to free up the slot for your standby climax in order to play a character via the standby effect, which is really, really nice. Okay, for our rare, we have one of the most illegal cards in Weiss Schwarz in recent times, which is the level 0 Ina. So this is a climax swap and on play top check to rearrange, which is a set of abilities that we've seen multiple times so far in Weiss Schwarz in cards like the Kaguya climax swapper or the Chizuru climax swapper from Rhodesia. But in this case, this Ina has this Soul Trigger icon in the top right corner, which makes it infinitely more illegal. Just having having Soul Triggers on level 0s is just so silly. And in the Gura deck, a lot of people are just running this card as a 4-of, just in order to jam more Soul Triggers into the deck. And frankly, I can't blame them. It's just really silly. Okay. So yeah, definitely one of the level 0s, one of the rares that you're going to want to be looking out for in Hololive the most when you open your boxes, as it's really nice to have multiple copies of this. Okay. We have another double R. Who do we have here? Is this Toa? I think this is Toa. Yep. All right, another new double R that we haven't yet pulled, which is the level 3 Toa. Definitely one of mine and Mike's favorite arts in the set. So this card has on play heal and then a climax combo. It's kind of an Icy Tail style ability where... well, okay, let's just look at the whole combo. So when this attacks, climax combo with a gold bar, you can look at the top card of your opponent's deck. You can either leave it on top or put it on the bottom of the deck. And then your opponent does kind of an Icy Tail 3, where they mill the bottom 3 cards of their deck to the waiting room. You count the number of level 0 cards as opposed to just climaxes. So that's kind of similar to the Eren Titan Declaration of War from Attack on Titan Final Season, where you look for level 0 cards, including climaxes. And you burn for that much damage, and then Toa gains an additional 1k power until end of turn. So this card has a lot of what I like to call scam potential, where you can just kind of scam your opponent just based on whatever's on the bottom of their deck. But yeah, pretty nice card overall. It's a solid consideration for your decks. Of course, with the climax combo being reliant on cards in your opponent's deck being like specific locations, it does have high roll and low roll potential, so just keep that in mind if you want to include this Toa in your deck. All right, for our rare, we have the 1/1 Botan counter. So this card is a 2500 backup, or sorry, a 2k backup, but as cost, she sends herself to memory, so helps contribute to your Gen 5 memory condition. One really interesting thing about this card is that if you pull the SR version, it's actually really hard to tell that it's an SR because the foiling is only in like one corner of the card. Okay. Oh, we have our foil. Oh, we have an SP. Awesome. We have the 2/1 Iroha. So one nice thing about the SPs in the set is that they all share the same foil pattern, which is kind of like a circular dots pattern. And so that's actually one way that you can tell if you've pulled an SP or not. If you're like, let's say you have the card like this and you're just like kind of inching to look at the card, you can tell if it's an SP or not based on whether or not it has this dots pattern. Whereas the ones that don't have SPs, that aren't SPs, they'll have a different pattern, such as this Lammy. It has like kind of a pixely diamond pattern. But we did pull an SP Iroha, so this is the one that we pulled earlier that has the resonate with the La Plus. Very nice. And for our rare, we have a level 0 Anya. This card has an effect that the community has not really come up with a name for this profile yet. It has appeared a few times throughout Weiss Schwarz, but it doesn't really see enough play that people have decided to give it a profile name. So this Anya is a level 0 bomb. And she also has a secondary effect where on death, you can pay 1 and clock the top card of your deck in order to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck for a level 1 or higher card and add it to your hand. So it gives you some nice deck speed, allows you to potentially grab like event cards, maybe your level 1 climax combo, so pretty cool card. And it's one that I have definitely considered using myself. Okay, for our rare, we have the level 3 Corone. So this card can be early played while you have 2 or more gamers events in your waiting room. And when she attacks, she gets plus 1,000 times the number of your other Hololive characters until end of turn, allowing her to go up to 12/5. And a very interesting third effect, when she becomes reversed, you can pay 1 and discard a Hololive character in order to put her from reverse back to rest, and then you get to reverse the opponent's character that reversed the Corone. So very interesting effect. Okay, next we have the Bay level 1 combo. So she has the effect where for her climax combo, she gains the effect where she cannot be reversed during your opponent's next turn. And also she gains the Crush effect where you get to choose your trigger from the top 2 cards of the deck. And so earlier in the opening, I mentioned that, where have I pulled? Have I pulled Watame? Watame, where are you? Okay, maybe I pulled it in the first box, but not in the second. Nope, it's right here. Okay, so earlier I mentioned with the level 0 Watame, that this card, when this got revealed, I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they killed Bay, because Bay has the effect where she cannot be reversed during the opponent's turn, but it doesn't say anything about Watame sending her straight to waiting room. So if your opponent just happens to be playing this Watame card against your Bay combo, unlucky. Because ordinarily, a card being unable to be reversed just makes it stick around until your next turn to allow you to reuse it very easily. All right, what do we got? Any double Rs? We still have 2 double Rs to go. For our rare, we have level 0 Choco. So she has the on-play effect. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Hololive character, add it to your hand and discard a card. And she can also pay 1, sack herself to top check 4, and add a Hololive character to hand. So a little bit of deck speed, allowing you to pay out your stock. Okay, no double R in this one. Oh. For our rare, we have 3/2 Fubuki. So this is another nice gold bar combo. So when she's placed on stage from hand, you can look it up to 3, add 1 to hand, send the rest to waiting room. And on attack, you can pay 1, discard 2, deal 2 damage to your opponent, and then choose 2 cards from their waiting room and shuffle them back into their deck. So this is very similar to the Silica combo, Silica Door combo that is being played right now in Sword Art Online. The main differences being this card looks at top 3 instead of the Silica, which looks at top X, where X equals the number of the opponent's characters. So this Fubuki doesn't have quite as much reach as far as how many cards you get to look at in your deck. However, this card's combo costs 1 extra stock in exchange for not requiring a full board. And so that means that this Fubuki doesn't have the same weakness to memory kick effects or things like that as the Silica does. So you don't have to have that reliance on like grabbing like the Gram event like you do in Sword Art. You can just play your 3 Fubukis, and as long as you have enough hand, you just let it rip. Okay. On to our next pack. We have Ame level 0. You know, now I'm looking at it, I think almost this entire box of rares is rares that we didn't pull in our first box. Except maybe the Aqua. Did we pull the Aqua in our first box? We didn't even pull Aqua. We just have not pulled a single duplicate rare in the second box, which is kind of crazy. Or double R. Fingers crossed that we keep pulling more non-duplicates. So the Ame has... It's kind of an on-play Rize type effect, where you look at up to 3, and then if you reveal 1 or more cards, you choose a card with a Soul Trigger icon, add to hand, and send the rest to waiting room, and then discard a card. So this card has both a benefit and a really, really big downside. So the benefit is you can actually add climaxes that have Soul Triggers, since it just says a card with a Soul Trigger icon to add to your hand. The downside, which is pretty big, is that if you don't reveal any cards with Soul Triggers, you still have to discard a card. So this card has a pretty big risk of whiffing and causing you to go -1, which is why, personally, I'm not a very big fan of this particular card. I do have to give a big shout out, though, to the artist of this particular Ame, which is Hitsu, one of my favorite artists. I'm a big fan of her art, so she's definitely never going to be watching this video, but shout outs to her. There's a lot of really, really good artists in this set. Like, I believe Toa's artist is, God, what is his name? Rurudo, I think is their name. And there's just like a whole bunch of other really fantastic artists. Okay, let's keep going. We have just a few packs left. Oh boy. Oh boy, this Pekora level 0. This Brainstorm, if you like gambling, you will love this Brainstorm. This is one of the most, like, for fun cards in this entire set, for sure. So this is a tap self salvage Brainstorm. Very simple salvage Brainstorm effect, but that first effect is so spicy. At the start of your main phase, you can pay 1, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If there was a climax among those 3 cards, and you shuffle your deck afterwards. If there was a climax among those 3 cards, you get to blind stock 2. So if you hit, you get +1 stock. But if you miss, you just -1 stock. So it's just like, I have had games against one of my friends, Cody of Honest Weiss Schwarz, where he will just have 2 Pekoras in his back row, and he will just hit like 5 or 6 of these in a row and just have a ton of stock, and it's so silly. And then he'll just be like, this card is so good, and then he'll play another game, and then he will miss like 4 times in a row. And it's just, the variance is just so funny. It's definitely not a card that I think you should ever be considering for a competitive build of Hololive, but if you want to have a good time, you need to be playing this card. This is like mandatory. It's such a funny card to play. And we are still continuing our streak of no repeat rares. So let's see if we can keep it going all the way until the end of the box. All right, we have a double R that we haven't pulled yet, which is the level 1 Kali. This card going into that EN strategy of soul triggers. She does have a soul trigger herself. She goes up to 5,500 power if you have 2 or more other Hololive characters, which it's not the highest, but it's solid. And then her climax combo with a choice climax, which, by the way, is one of the best arts in the set, hands down, which is the Yor Mori climax. On attack, you can put up to 4 cards from the top of your deck into your waiting room, and then salvage a level X or lower character, where X is the number of soul trigger icons that were within, the number of cards with soul trigger icons within those milled cards. If you're running a deck with a lot of soul triggers, it can be easier to salvage those higher level characters, but you will always have the option to salvage level 0s, even if you choose to mill no characters at all. And so that's a really nice benefit of this particular card, where you can be flexible with how many cards you're milling from your deck if you want to keep your deck at a certain deck size or a certain deck state, which is really, really cool. Okay, for our rare, another non-repeat, we have the level 3 Miko, which is a level 3 reverser. One really interesting thing about this card, actually, is that there is a card with the exact same set of effects, almost the exact same set of effects, in Prisma Ilia, the 3rd booster, I think, which is one that is not in English. But the difference is that the level 3 Kuro that has that effect is like 8k power. And this Miko is 3,500 power to play into the 35 Miko 3/5 meme thing. The effects on this card are pretty interesting, though. So obviously she's a level 3 reverser. On play heal, and when she gets reversed, you can bounce her back to your hand. And so that allows you to reverse the opponent's character, bounce her back to the hand, and then reuse that heal effect. Very interesting card. All right, on to our last pack. 1 double R left to go. Who will it be? So we have seen 9 out of the 16. Let's see if we can see a 10th unique double R. All right, who do we have here? It's blue. It's blue. It's 5th gen. Is this Lammy level 0? It is. Awesome. So Lammy level 0, definitely one of the best double Rs that you could pull from this set. She's a very powerful plussing profile. So first of all, if all of your characters are Hololive, on attack, you get to give any of your characters 1k power until the end of the turn. So really nice buffer that allows her to scale throughout the game. And then when she becomes reversed, if all of your characters are Hololive, you can pay 1, clock a Hololive character from your waiting room to the bottom of your clock, and then send her to memory. You get to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, grab a Hololive, or grab any character from among them, add it to your hand, and then put the rest into your waiting room. So it allows you to generate memory, it allows you to replace itself to have more cards for your early game, and also is just a really strong card overall, with that third ability allowing you to pump a character by 1k. What's really nice about this card is that in the Gura deck, which wants to have a high concentration of soul triggers in your deck, this is a really good plussing level 0 profile to use, since when you send it to memory for the effect, she's no longer in your deck, and you can make your deck a higher concentration of soul triggers overall. So, very strong card, one of the best double Rs that you should definitely be looking out for in your boxes from a playability standpoint. For our final rare, we actually hit 2 boxes with no overlapping rares or double Rs. That's kind of crazy. All right, so for our final rare, we have the level 0 Louis. So this is a card that you want to be running in the HoloX deck, obviously. So she has a Resonate ability with the level 3 Laplace, where you can pay 1, and you can rest the Louis in order to, and reveal the Laplace. Look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 Hololive character or the HoloX event from among them, add it to your hand, send the rest to waiting room. Additionally, she has an effect where when you trigger a climax, you can choose any character, or you can choose any card from your waiting room and put it underneath this as a marker, and then you can, as an act ability, you can send the marker to waiting room in order to give one of your characters +1 soul. So it's really good for keeping up pressure, dealing a lot of soul damage to your opponent. Additionally, it's a really good card to utilize with the level 3 Koyori that we looked at in our first box. Since the Koyori says that you need 2 copies of herself in your waiting room in order to early play, what you can do is, when you trigger a climax, you take a Koyori from your waiting room, you put it underneath your Takane as a marker, and then once you have refreshed your deck, you send these to waiting room in order to turn on that early play condition. So, there we have for our second box. We still have 6 more double Rs that we're going to look at in our recap, and I'll go ahead and take a look to see if there were any more rares that I really want to talk about that you guys should know. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and clean up, get set for the recap, and we'll see you guys back in just a sec. Alright guys, we are back for the recap now, and here we have a pretty big assortment of cards. There were 3 rares that I did not pull in the opening, so we'll go ahead and take a look at each of those, as they're all pretty notable cards. So the first one is the level 0 Mel. So this one has a pretty nice advantage effect where you can pay 1, rest her, give one of your characters on reverse salvage until the end of the turn, and additionally, when you use an act ability once per turn, you can give a character 1000 power. So this is really useful, obviously, in the Gen 1 decks that rely on a lot of act abilities. You can utilize this card in combination with herself in order to give a character on reverse salvage as well as 1k pump, or you can use it during the opponent's turn with like a counter, a backup, in order to give an additional 1k splittable either to the same character or to a different character. It's a really nice card for Gen 1 based decks. Up next we have the other really illegal card in Hololive, which is the level 0 Reine. This is the rare that you want to pull as many as possible. This card is really strong. So she has an on-play effect where you can discard a card to reveal the top card of your deck if it is, and then you salvage a level X or lower character from your waiting room, where X is the level of the revealed card. This is a utility ability that is very popular and is very powerful because it allows you to get a card out of your hand without costing any stock. It allows you to get a targeted salvage. Obviously, it's based on your level, but you at least have a pretty good idea of what you want to try to get. And additionally, it allows you to reveal the top card of your deck and have knowledge of that top card. Now, what really makes this card silly is the second effect, where during this card's battle, so like when your opponent is attacking this, if you cancel, you can return her back to your hand. And as we all know, we love on-cancel bounce back on Tressa's Collectibles. We love it. It's our favorite ability. If you guys haven't seen our on-cancel bounce back short, I'll be sure to link that down in the description so you guys can go check that out. But yeah, definitely the rare that you're going to want to be looking for the most. And then for our last rare, we have the Crony level 0. She is the JC effect, where when your other Hololive character is attacked, you can pay 1, sack her to return that character back to your hand. And additionally, during your turn, if all of your characters are Hololive trait, she gets plus 1500 and plus 1k, plus 1 level. So pretty solid 3500 attacker. All right, now then, for our double Rs, there were 6 double Rs that we did not pull. So let's start with the level 0 Kanata. This was originally the most sought after double R in Hololive 2 when it came out in JP, and now it has sort of gone down in popularity compared to the Lamy level 0, as the aforementioned Gura deck has really shown itself to be the most powerful and popular deck in Hololive. The Kanata has an on-play Riki effect, pay 1, clock 1, search your deck for a level 1 or lower. And she also has the second effect where during your opponent's turn, if you have 5 or more cards in hand, she gets plus 1 level, plus 1500. So this allows her to be a pretty good turn 1 play, in addition to a turn 2 play as a Riki. So if you open multiple copies of this, you don't really feel bad about having to play one of your Rikis down as a turn 1 play. Our next double R that we did not pull is the level 0 Mio. So she is an on-play and on-death drop search. So she can use that pay 1, ditch 1 ability, both on play and on death. But it's her other ability that I think really takes her over the top. When she's placed on stage from hand, you get to look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them, send them to the waiting room, and then you can put the remaining cards on top of your deck in any order. So you basically like mocha yourself, but it's during main phase. So it's a really, really strong effect. You have knowledge of your upcoming triggers. You can send any of them to waiting room if you don't like what you see. You can check out if you have a climax in the top 2 cards of your deck if you want to brainstorm. Just like the amount of freedom that this Mio gives you is extremely strong. And she's definitely one of my favorite utility level 0s from the set. Up next, we have the level 1 Chloe combo. So this is a really strong climax combo for HoloX. So she's a 1/0/4K, and then she gets plus 3K during your turn if you have another Hololive character, or when she attacks, rather. And then her climax combo is on attack with a door. You reveal the level 3 Laplace in your hand, and then you get to choose a Hololive character from your waiting room and add it back to your hand. And then you reveal the top card of your deck. If it is level 1 or higher, you get to put it into your stock. So you can combine this with cards that let you look at the top card of your deck, such as the Mio level 0, or maybe something like the Mio level 0 back row, or things like that, in order to get that extra stock, along with the guaranteed salvage as well. So you can get a lot of value off of the Chloe combo, and then you can use that extra stock to use the Louis Resonate to get even more guaranteed cards, and probably like stop clocking early and just maintain a damage lead over your opponent while still being able to get a lot of cards. Our next double R is the Ollie level 3. So this is a very interesting card. She is a healer, and then she has a climax combo with a door that says, if this card is in your waiting room at the beginning of your attack phase, while you have the climax in play, you can pay 1, discard a Hololive character in order to summon her from your waiting room, which would allow you to... Oh, and you have to be level 2 or higher, of course. And then that would proc the heal. So, very interesting card. Worth noting is that she has to be in the waiting room already at the start of the attack phase. So you cannot like pay cost for 1 Ollie, discard another copy of Ollie, and then also bring that one out. She already has to be in waiting room. And so one good way to get her out of your hand, though, is if you combo her with the Muna Brainstorm, since when you play a climax, you can activate Muna's effect, discard Ollie, reveal the top card of your deck, and salvage, and then when you start attack phase, your Ollie is in your waiting room ready to go. Another really cool interaction with this Ollie is that you can combine her with the level 3 Hachima from the Gen 1 trial deck that destroys every card on the field except herself. Because she does that at the start of the attack phase, you can blow up the entire board, and then you can activate Ollie's effect also at the start of attack phase in order to bring out the Ollies, and then you can still have 3 attackers even though you blew up the entire board except for the Hachima. So that's a pretty funny combination that you can try out. And then we have the level 0 Xion. She's just a center runner, and all of your opponent's characters get paid to Encore, and she's 3,500 power. This is not the most popular option, mostly because the center slot real estate is being utilized by cards such as Aqua or Laplace. So definitely not the most popular option, but one that you could try out nonetheless. And then finally, for our last double R, we have, of course, Gura. She is a healer, and she's 11k power as long as all of your characters are Hololive, and she has a very high ceiling finisher ability. So she's Climax combo with a Pants Climax. When she attacks, if you have the Pants Climax in the Climax area and you have 6 or less cards in hand, you can pay 2, discard 1, so you burn 2, and then you perform the following action twice. You mill 1, and then if the card you milled has a soul trigger icon, you burn 1. So at the maximum, this Gura can be a burn 2, a burn 1, a burn 1, and a swing for like 3 or 4, or maybe 5 if you directed. So the idea behind the most popular build of Hololive is to use standby climaxes to bring out more copies of Gura, which allows you to save stock so you don't have to pay 2 stock to put her into play. And then you hit level 3, you play any additional Guras you have in your hand, and then you just blow up your opponent. Just absolutely murder them. And so for that deck, you want to be running cards like the Lammy, level 0, that can send herself to memory so that you don't have her in your deck. Additionally, you want to run cards like the Ina level 0, or the Kali level 1, or the Iroha level 1 Brainstorm, just cards that have soul triggers. We're going to be featuring that deck in an upcoming deck profile on the channel, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Now, we've looked at all of our double Rs and whatnot, and so, of course, it wouldn't be a Tressa's Collectibles opening without taking a look at some of the high rarity stuff. Here we have some of the new characters that have been introduced in Premium Booster and Volume 2, so the characters that were not in Hololive Volume 1. Here we have, of course, the Iroha that we pulled today. Very beautiful card. We have AZKi, level 0. We have Helpless, level 3, which is the same card as the level 3 combo. As I mentioned earlier, the newer characters, or the newer VTubers rather, their Climax combo character cards are actually just an SP, and the SSP would be their Climax. So Helpless being one example of that. Here we have Koyori. We have Chloe, again, following that rule where the character card is the SP. We have Muna, level 2 killer, which I don't think I actually... Did I actually not pull that in our opening? I feel like if I pulled it, I would have looked at it, but I don't remember. We have the Anya, level 2. We have the Ollie, level 3. We have Rainy, level 1. We have, of course, Gura, Kali, Mume, and then IRyS and Crony. And I'm pretty sure this isn't every single one of the newly introduced characters, but it's definitely a lot of them. And then we do have the crown jewels of any Hololive set. We have our SSPs. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these cards that we've opened quite a lot of cases here at Tressa, so we have quite a lot of SSPs to take a look at. So there are I think 51. Hold on, let me look at the box. There are 51 different girls in Hololive, and so what we've pulled here is just a fraction of what we could potentially pull out of the set. But we have the Pekora Brainstorm, Gambler's Paradise. We have Miko, level 3. We have the Flare, level 3. Here we have one of the SSP Climaxes. So here's the one for the Ollie, level 3. And of course, all of these SSPs bearing that beautiful rainbow stamp. Here we have the IRyS Brainstorm, the Ame, level 0, Ina, Lammy, Kanata, Iroha, and then of course, I can't believe Mike actually hit all 3 of these in the amount of cases that he opened, but Mike hit all 3 members of Stardust. So we have the Toa, level 3, we have the Aqua, level 1, and of course, this is just for sure one of the crown jewels of Mike's collection, which is the Suisei, level 3. This card just looks so good. Oh my god. And yeah, so whole bunch of SPs and SSPs that hopefully you guys can look forward to pulling. If you guys have already opened some boxes from Anime Expo, or if you guys have just pulled some of your boxes day one, go ahead and let us know down in the comment section below what you guys pulled, if you guys pulled anything cool, as well as what your chase cards are for the Hololive set, as I'm sure some of you are very excited to be cracking open these boxes and trying to pull some SPs of your Oshi VTubers. So until next time, this has been Randall, aka She's a Cats, on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!